Imagine this. You step out into your garden, and the warm sun hits your face. You smell blooming roses and fresh herbs. You walk beneath a rustic archway heavy with wisteria and sit beside a stone wall dotted with charming planters. You aren't in a villa in Tuscany. You are right here, at home. Now, open your eyes and look closer. What if I told you those charming wall planters were just rusty tin cans? That rustic herb rack? An old wooden shipping pallet? And that romantic archway? Just bundles of dry branches you found for free. Today, I'm going to show you how to stop dreaming and start building your own slice of Italy using the things you were about to throw away. Welcome back to Arkan Aesthetic Studio, where we see the beauty in what others leave behind. Today, we are curating the ultimate rural Italian transformation guide. If you love the idea of turning your garden into a holiday destination without spending a fortune, do me a favor. Subscribe to join our creative family. And here is a challenge. Share this video link right now to your gardening group on WhatsApp or Facebook. Tell them, let's make our gardens feel like Italy. For those who share and watch until the end, I pray for your long life, endless health, and a garden that blooms forever. One window box. Close your eyes and picture a quiet morning in a small village. The first thing that greets you isn't a grand statue, but a simple window framed by the raw, honest beauty of nature. Here, we begin our journey with the humble window box. Imagine taking old pieces of driftwood, or perhaps dry branches fallen from a storm, wood that has been weathered by time and sun. By clustering these rugged pieces together, we create a vessel that looks as if it has been part of the house for centuries. When you fill it with the vibrant red of geraniums and the cascading green of ivy, the rough texture of the wood sings in harmony with the delicate petals. It is a reminder that even broken, discarded things can cradle life beautifully. It brings the garden right to your glass, separating the safety of indoors from the wild beauty outside. Two, balcony. Lift your gaze now to the balcony, a place suspended between the earth and the sky. In the narrow streets of Italy, these small spaces are stages for daily life, often overflowing with color. Imagine finding an old wooden ironing board, one that has seen years of domestic work, and giving it a new purpose under the open sky. By securing it to your railing, you create an instant rustic shelf, a bridge for your plants to lean out and greet the sun. When adorned with the vibrant magenta of Bougainvillea, the weathered wood grounds the explosion of color. It transforms a cold metal railing into a warm, living tapestry. It's a space that invites you to lean out, breathe deeply, and watch the world go by from your own private sanctuary. Three, front terrace. The journey continues to the very threshold of your home, the front terrace. In Italy, the entrance is a promise of the warmth that lies within, often guarded by timeless, weathered stone vessels. Picture this: grand urns that seem heavy with history, their surfaces rough and kissed by moss. Yet, beneath that ancient-looking skin lies a secret: simple plastic containers, saved from the landfill and reborn through the magic of cement. When you plant a lemon tree here, its bright, cheerful fruit contrasts beautifully with the stoic, gray texture of your new creation. It is a transformation of material that mirrors the transformation of the spirit, turning what is discarded into something that stands tall and proud. These guardians of your door do not just hold soil, they hold a story of redemption. Faux, narrow side yard. Now, let us wander into the shadows, the narrow side yard. Too often, this strip of land is forgotten, a mere passageway for bins and tools. But in the Italian countryside, every inch of earth is an opportunity for beauty. Imagine creating a secret tunnel here. By gathering fallen dry branches and weaving them together into simple, rustic arches, you build a structure that feels organic, as if it grew from the ground itself. When the jasmine or wisteria begins to climb this humble skeleton, the space transforms. It becomes a living hallway where the light dances in dappled patterns on the ground, and the air is heavy with sweet perfume. Walking through it feels like a journey, a momentary escape from the mundane. It teaches us that even the tightest, darkest spaces can bloom if we give them structure and life. Five, empty wall. We arrive now at the silent giant of the garden, the empty wall. Often stark and imposing, it stands like a barrier, closing us in. But what if we could look through it? Imagine taking an old, discarded window frame, paint peeling, wood weathered gray, and placing it right there on the solid stone. By adding a simple mirror behind the glass, or perhaps just letting the frame the texture of the wall itself, you create a magical illusion. Suddenly, the wall is no longer a dead end. It is a portal. The climbing ivy embraces the edges, softening the hard lines, while the reflection catches the movement of the clouds or the swaying of the trees behind you. It tricks the eye and expands the soul, reminding us that with a little imagination, we can always create a new perspective, even where there seems to be none. Six, room corner and pathways. Lower your eyes now to the earth beneath your feet. In the grand villas, the floors are masterpieces of art, but here in our garden, the path itself is the destination. Imagine collecting the broken pieces, shards of colorful tiles, smooth river stones, or even painted fragments of metal. Alone, they are sharp and useless, but when brought together in a bed of cement, they form a mosaic of breathtaking beauty. As you lay each stone, You are not just building a walkway, you are piecing together a story. The creeping thyme and oregano will soon embrace these hard edges, filling the gaps with softness and scent every time you step. It reminds us that life is a collection of moments, some broken, some bright, but all fitting together to lead us forward. Seven, fence. We arrive now at the edge of our world, the fence. Often, it is just a barrier, a line that says stop. But in the warmth of an Italian summer, walls are meant to support life, not just divide land. Imagine taking humble wooden crates, the kind used to carry the autumn harvest of apples or olives, and giving them a permanent home on your fence. By securing them vertically, one above the other, you create a ladder of abundance. The rough, splintered wood of the crates contrasts perfectly with the soft, fragrant leaves of basil and the bright red jewels of hanging strawberries. Suddenly, the fence is no longer a wall. It is a pantry, a living tapestry that breathes and feeds. It teaches us that limits are only in our mind. Even a flat, vertical surface can become a garden if we look at it with love. Eight, small garden. Now, pause for a moment and bring your world in close. Sometimes, the grandest adventures are found in the smallest spaces. We are visiting the small garden, not a plot of land, but a world within a bowl. Imagine holding the rolling hills of Tuscany in the palm of your hand. By arranging soft mounds of velvet moss, planting tiny sprigs of thyme to stand as mighty oaks, and laying down white pebbles as ancient roads, you become the architect of a dream. A broken pot shard becomes a cliff. A twig becomes a rustic pergola. In this miniature Borgo, time stands still. It invites you to lean in, to lose yourself in the details, and to find a profound sense of peace in the quiet perfection of the tiny. It is a reminder that beauty is not about size, but about the care we pour into creation. Nine, patio. Let us sit for a moment. In Italy, the patio is not just a floor. It is a living room without a ceiling, a place where time slows down to the rhythm of a conversation. Imagine a centerpiece that anchors this space, a rustic wine barrel that whispers of vineyards and harvest seasons. But look closer. This is not oak aged in a cellar. It is a discarded tire or an old plastic drum, given a second life. Wrapped in slats of reclaimed wood or coiled with thick, earthy rope, it transforms from industrial waste into a symbol of hospitality. When you place a pot of fragrant basil or a glass of water upon it, the rough texture invites you to touch, to rest, to gather. It teaches us that warmth doesn't come from expensive furniture, but from the soul we breathe into the objects around us. 10. Front yard. Stepping out onto the open canvas of the front yard, we look for a greeting, something that speaks of work, of harvest, and of rest. In the countryside, tools are revered companions, and none more so than the humble wheelbarrow. Imagine an old wooden cart, its wheel perhaps broken, its days of carrying heavy stones long over. Instead of discarding it, we park it permanently in a patch of sunlight. Now, it carries a load lighter than air, a cloud of purple lavender and white petunias. The weathered wood, scarred by labor, now cradles delicate life. It stands as a monument to the beauty of rest after a lifetime of service. It tells your guests that this is a home that values history, a place where even the weary are given a new purpose and allowed to bloom in peace. (11) Small courtyard. In the heart of every Italian village lies the piazza, and in the heart of the piazza, there is almost always a fountain. It is the pulse of the community, a place where water dances and people gather. Imagine creating this same heartbeat in your own small courtyard, but with a twist. By stacking simple pots or bowls of different sizes, rising from a wide base to a narrow peak, you build the skeleton of a fountain. But instead of water, we let nature flow. We fill the tiers with cascading sedum and rosette-shaped echeveria. They spill over the edges like cool green streams, freezing the motion of water in a living sculpture. It is silent, yet it speaks of abundance. It brings the grandeur of Rome to a quiet corner, proving that you don't need plumbing to create a fountain of life. (12) Backyard. Let us venture deeper into the green expanse, the backyard. In the rolling hills of Rome, the landscape is dotted with memories of the past, ruins that have surrendered to nature, becoming more beautiful in their decay. Imagine recreating this romance in a quiet corner of your lawn. By stacking scavenged stones and using large, gray pieces of driftwood as ancient beams, you can build a folly, a playful imitation of a ruin. It doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, it should look broken. When you plant climbing white roses at its base, they will race up the structure, wrapping the dead wood in living blooms. It creates a scene of poetic contrast. The permanence of stone, the weathering of wood, and the fleeting beauty of a flower. It turns a flat yard into a landscape with a history, even if that history is one you built with your own hands today. (13) Exterior stairway area. We stand now at the foot of the climb, the exterior stairway. Too often, stairs are merely a functional necessity, cold gray slabs meant for feet, not eyes. But in the steep alleys of the Amalfi Coast, every step is a pedestal for beauty. Imagine treating each tread as a stage. By taking simple plastic pots and giving them a coat of warm, terracotta paint, you can line your stairway with a uniform guard of honor. Fill them with bright red geraniums that stand tall, or ivy that spills over the edge like a green waterfall. As you ascend, the plants guide you, turning a simple walk upstairs into a journey through a hanging garden. It creates a rhythm, a heartbeat of color that rises with you. It teaches us that the journey is just as important as the destination, and that even the hardest climbs can be made beautiful with a little life along the way. (14) Borders. Look down to where the wild earth meets the ordered path. This is the domain of the border. In modern gardens, we often use plastic or concrete to draw these lines. But in the old world, the boundary itself was a work of art. Imagine reaching back to an ancient technique known as wattle. By taking flexible twigs, prunings that would usually be burned, and weaving them between upright stakes, you create a living basket that holds the earth. It is a rhythmic dance of wood over wood, a texture that feels warm and organic. When you plant vibrant yellow marigolds or fragrant lavender behind this woven wall, the contrast is stunning. The gray-brown bark highlights the brilliance of the blooms. It is a border that doesn't just divide, it embraces. It reminds us that strength doesn't have to be rigid. It can be flexible, woven, and made from the very nature it seeks to protect. (15) Veranda. Let us step into the shade of the veranda, that gentle space where the house whispers to the garden. In the Italian countryside, this is a place of utility as much as leisure, where the harvest is preserved for the winter to come. Imagine looking up and seeing not just a ceiling, but a suspended pantry. By repurposing old wooden clothes hangers or a weathered ladder, you create a rustic rack that floats above your head. Tie bundles of white garlic, fiery red chilies, and fragrant rosemary to the wood with simple twine. As the wind blows gently through the veranda, the herbs sway and dance, releasing their savory perfume into the air. It is a decoration that feeds you, a visual reminder of the earth's generosity. It captures the essence of the season, drying it slowly, preserving the memory of the summer sun long after the days have grown cold. (16) Edging. Look closer at the line where the garden breathes. Sometimes, the most beautiful solutions are things we have looked at for years, but never really seen. We come to the edging, the frame of our living picture. Imagine taking old terracotta roof tiles, those curved pieces of clay that once sheltered a house from the rain. Instead of discarding them, we plant them into the earth, standing them upright like soldiers. Together, they form a scalloped, wave-like border that holds the soil with grace. The warm orange of the clay mimics the sunsets of Tuscany, and as time passes, moss will paint them with shades of green. It is a poetic reversal. What was once high above the ground, touching the sky, now rests deep in the earth, protecting the roots. It teaches us that everything has a second season, a new way to serve beauty. Portico. Let us step under the shelter of the portico. In architecture, columns are essential for strength, but often they can feel cold, stark, and imposing. But nature has a way of softening even the hardest stone. Imagine taking a simple length of chicken wire or wrapping a few sturdy dry branches around your plain porch pillars. It seems humble at first, but it is the foundation for a miracle. When you guide a climbing rose or a grapevine onto this frame, the column disappears. In its place stands a living pillar of green and pink. The structure that holds up your roof now also holds the perfume of summer. It blurs the line between the house and the garden, making the building itself feel like it grew from the earth. It creates a hug, an embrace that welcomes you home every time you step through the door. Carport Side. Let us walk to the place of utility, the carport side. Usually, this is a forgotten zone, a cluttered collection of oil stains and shadows. But even here, in the space of machines, there is room for the rustic soul of the countryside. Imagine mounting a simple wooden shipping pallet against the concrete wall. With a little sanding and perhaps a stain of oil, it transforms from industrial waste into a beautiful gallery. Here, you hang your spades, your shears, and your watering cans, displaying them not just as tools, but as artifacts of your labor. Tuck small pots of hardy thyme or ferns into the slats, letting life spring from the wood. It turns a wall of storage into a wall of stories. It honors the work of gardening, reminding us that the tools we use to create beauty are beautiful in themselves. Wall crevice. Lean in close now and look at the scars of the garden, the cracks, the crevices, the imperfections in the wall. In a palace, these would be covered up, but here we treat them as opportunities. Imagine finding the smallest tin cans, perhaps from tomato paste or tuna, and turning them into pockets of life. Whether painted in bright Italian colors or left to rust into a warm orange hue, they fit perfectly into the gaps of a stone wall. Fill them with the geometric perfection of sempervivum or the trailing pearls of sedum. Suddenly, the wall is wearing jewelry. These tiny gems of green prove that life does not need a vast field to thrive. It only needs a foothold. It is a celebration of resilience, a whisper that says beauty can be found in the tightest of spots. 20. Pergola. Look up now, to where the sun meets the earth. In the heat of an Italian afternoon, there is no greater luxury than shade. But you do not need heavy timber beams to build a sanctuary. Imagine scavenging for long, dry branches, bamboo, or even driftwood from the riverbank. By lashing them together in a simple grid overhead, you create a skeleton for nature to clothe. When the grapevines or wisteria take hold, weaving their way through your rustic roof, the harsh sun is broken into 1,000 dancing specks of light. Sitting beneath it feels like being held in the arms of the garden. It is a room with no walls, a ceiling that breathes, and a reminder that the best architecture is the kind that eventually disappears under the beauty of life. Sunken Firepit. Our journey ends here, not with a structure that reaches for the sky, but with one that brings us back to the earth, the sunken firepit. Since the beginning of time, the circle of warmth has been where stories are told and bonds are forged. Imagine digging a shallow hollow in the ground, or arranging jagged pieces of old concrete and heavy stones into a perfect ring. It is raw, primal, and deeply grounding. Surround this stone hearth with fragrant rosemary and lavender. As the fire warms the stones, the oils in the leaves will release a scent that calms the spirit. This is more than just a decoration. It is an invitation to slow down, to watch the flames dance, and to feel the timeless connection between us and the land. From the smallest window box to a full courtyard transformation, bringing the Italian spirit home isn't about money, it's about passion and creativity. I hope these 21 ideas have planted a seed of inspiration in your heart. Go out there, get your hands dirty, and turn that trash into your own personal paradise. Until next time, keep creating beauty. Ciao!